Alright, and we're finally back. I've been waiting to talk about this since the day I heard this story, but you may have noticed my last two videos were just filmed with my phone, and that's because my laptop broke and I just got a new one yesterday. Alright, so we're back and we're starting off with a fantastic, delicious little story out of Sweden. A story that will give so much ammo to the feminists, but you know what? I'm gonna let them have this ammo because this is fucked. Check this out. Swedish court allows refugee who was convicted of raping a teenager, she was 16 by the way, to stay in Sweden. The reason behind the decision will leave you shocked. Yeah, but here's the thing. It won't. I'm Matt's FTR. You're not going to shock me. I assure you, I promise you, in fact, this story will not shock me even a little bit. But if you do shock me, even 1%, credit to you. That means the world's getting worse. Okay, an Eritrean refugee who was convicted of raping a then 16-year-old girl, fucking lovely, was allowed to stay in Sweden after a Swedish court ruled that he would not be deported after serving his sentence due to the duration of the incident. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that we now sentence crimes based on how long you commit them for. So, if you rape somebody, as long as you only rape them for, let's say, 30 seconds, that's okay. What? Can I now go and steal something because I stole a chocolate bar? Can I now go and kill somebody if I do it execution style because execution style is quick and painless? So surely I can be let off too, right? Man, I just what the fuck? The incident reportedly took place on September 1st, 2024, when an 18-year-old Yazid Mohammed. I would mention the man's race, but I'll be called a racist for pointing out facts. Allegedly sexually assaulted the teenager while she was walking home from her shift at McDonald's after missing the bus. According to Le Deraka Diario, the outlet further claimed that the victim's family immediately reported the incident, so they didn't even wait. Mohammed, the suspect, we could have figured, was sentenced to 3 years in prison. I mean, if his sentence is 3 years because it was short, you can promptly go fuck yourself. But the Alto Norrland Court of Appeals reportedly ruled the rape did not last long enough. What's the threshold? What's the threshold to call a rape a rape? I mean, please tell me. I didn't even know there was a fucking standard of this. As far as I'm concerned, unconsensual sex is rape. There's never been a time in history where we said, yeah, but how long was it for? Yeah, because the victim is totally gonna time it. The first thing on a rape victim's mind is how long it's going on for. And the first thing on the rapist's mind is also how long it's going on for. That's beyond fucked. To be classified as an exceptionally serious crime.
Excuse me, the fuck did you just say?
Wow. So it did not necessitate deportation. Can we just talk about something? So the core, never mind the duration. I know that's kind of like the core of the story, but there is worse components than that, such as this one. So you admit that the crime is bad enough to go to jail for 3 years, but it's not bad enough to be deported. Am I in fucking La La Land? So what you're saying is that deporting a criminal is actually worse than throwing them in jail. I mean, the mindset here is fucking astounding. This is fucking insane. I'm still not surprised though. I'm still not surprised. Let's continue. What did the court say? While delivering a ruling in the case, the court stated rape is, in many cases, considered an exceptionally serious offense, that's because it is, that could justify the deportation of a refugee. Terrific, but even if you're not gonna deport them, you could at least throw them in jail for a longer period of time. The fact that you're admitting that it's bad enough for jail, but not bad enough for deportation is actually... Okay, fine. You surprised me a tiny little bit, I'll give you that. Serious crime that warrants deportation, the court stated. According to the outlet, he further stated. And by the way, just even though you don't think it warrants deportation, even though it does, by the way, can we also just point out that even outside of this, just in general, I'm not even talking about Sweden, I'm not talking about rape, I'm not talking about specific to deportation, but just in general, I know a lot of people don't want to admit it, either because they're SJWs or just blatantly scared to admit facts, but we all know, for those of us who are not woke, but awake, for those of us who actually pay attention, we know that crimes such as these tend to drastically increase when it comes to people who are refugees or immigrants from the third world and you bring them into the first world. I mean, I'm not gonna say that there's a correlation between allowing these people into the first world and the crimes they're committing, except I am saying that because it's true. So anyway, I can't even believe it. However, each case must be evaluated individually. But it's not. That's literally not what you're doing. Given the nature and duration of the incidents, yeah, because would you get a fucking timer out and you say like 1 minute is just unwanted sex, 1 minute to 2 minutes is, oh, she cried, 3 minutes to 4 minutes is 6 months, 4 minutes to 5 minutes is 1 year, 5 minutes to 6... Like, shut the fuck up. Like, shut the fuck up. God damn it. While giving its ruling in the matter, the court was referring to a United Nations 1951 rule on the status of refugees. Ah, of course. So because they're refugees, they are allowed to use the rules from the 1950s. Right. But everyone else has to go by our modern rules, right? Sure. Okay. Whatever you say. The rule meant that Mohammed and other refugees have their status protected except in extreme cases. Well... Well, thank you for that. Thank you for almost word for word verbatim admitting that if you're a white person who commits a terrible crime, you can be thrown in jail because we actually abide by current modern day sentencing. But if you're a refugee who is from a second or third world and therefore follows the laws of the 1950s or before that, the laws are therefore a lot more lenient and he's allowed to follow them. So what you're basically saying indirectly is that the more white your skin is, the more punishing the sentences are, even though those are the people less likely to commit the crimes. Fucking fantastic. Congratulations. I love the world. The world is freaking awesome. The court granted permission to Muhammad and ruled that there was no current threat to public order. Yeah. No threat at all. He's not a threat. No. He just raped a 16-year-old. That's not a threat. What the fuck are you talking about? That's not a threat. This is the same thing that we have over here in the West called catch and release, which is what allows repeat offenders, or as we call them, career criminals, to continue to offend because, oh, well, they're not a threat, or they're just refugees, or treat them like they're innocent, or instead of jail, try rehabilitating them, and that's why people tend to fucking die or get molested or raped over and over and over again. Because we are so soft on criminals who are not white. Call me racist if you want, but as I've always said, it's not racist if it's true. I mean, this is literally the mentality that got the girl on the subway killed. Okay? Like, sorry, it's just the fucking truth. The guy who killed that woman on the subway was a 14-time repeat offender. If he hadn't been let out because of the leniency on them... she'd still be alive. And this is the exact same mentality we're looking at right now. Prove me wrong. You can't, so don't bother. Okay. The court granted permission to Mohammed and ruled that there was no current threat to public order and the rape suspect will stay in Sweden after his sentence, according to the report. Because of course he will. Europe has witnessed a constant flow of similar stories. Gee, I wonder why that might be. Including some migrants receiving minor punishments after sexually assaulting women and girls. Thank you for just reiterating exactly what I already knew. According to a 2018 report from a Swedish public broadcaster, found that 58% of all rapes or attempted rapes in Sweden were committed by foreigners. Well, you better be careful. Hang on a second. Who wrote this article? Because you need to be careful. Divya Deep Singh. What a name. Anyway, you better be careful because you're stating facts here. But then again, I guess you're also, like, the author of this article is also a foreigner. So if they get called a racist for pointing out that fact, they can say, hey, I'm not racist because I'm also a foreigner myself. I'm protected under the fucking Foreigners Act. I mean, you know, the feminists are going to say shit like, oh, this is the man stuff. No, this is not a fucking man thing. Okay? You reverse the roles, and I know for a fact nobody would give a shit. Okay, what this is a justice system problem and also a left-wing problem because they're the ones who love refugees. So, no, do not blame men for this. Blame that piece of shit who actually did this. But then also blame the leftists for allowing the third world to turn the first world into the third world. That's the reality, whether if you want to admit it or not. Anyway, truly disgusting story. Not really that surprising, but you got me a little bit. I'll give you that. Anyway, bye.